Oh no, it's exploring! It's exploring!
Welcome to No Fabs.
In today's episode, I've got this 2-litre TDI Passat R-Line in, and we're going to be installing a downpipe on this today. But this is a 2014 onwards car. Now, those of you that know, this is not going to be a nice job.
So in today's episode, I am going to be demonstrating the absolute sheer pain of what it takes to build a downpipe on a Volkswagen 2-litre TDI, or 1.6 TDI for that matter, 2014 onwards. They're horrible. It's a horrible job. If you ask any exhaust fabricator, they'll all give you the same response. Ugh, 2014 onwards. So this engine, it's a 150 horsepower engine with the round DPF, what comes off the turbo. Absolute nightmare job. It's horrible. And we're going to show you the process. Well, I'm not going to show you the whole process, but I'm going to... Basically, when people ask me about these, it's always an expensive quote. And they're always like, wow, that's expensive. Well, today I'm going to show you why it's expensive. Because it's a horrible job. So the first job we've got to do is we need to disconnect the steering rack in the car, because the entire subframe, the entire steering rack assembly has all got to come down to get this DPF out. So let's disconnect that. It's held on, well, there's a cover to start with. T20, let me get a T20. So let's time roughly how long this actually takes us just to get the old one off. It's now 9:42. So let's see just how long it actually takes us. I reckon dinner time we'll have this off. Maybe a touch sooner, depends how things would go. What we got here? So there's the first cover out of the way. The OBD port and the footlight is part of it, so I'm not going to disconnect all that. I'm just going to pull it to one side so I can get access to the steering rack. Which is there. Pull them covers back a little bit and I can see it. What we got? 13 milli, is it? Yeah, 13 milli. Right, let me grab a 13 milli socket. Might actually disconnect this, you know, because it's sat in my way. Disconnect that light. How does that come out of there? There we go. Get that tray out of his way. Make things a little bit easier for us when it gives a bit more room. Right, let's try and get this. It's a bit fiddly because carpet doesn't pull back great, but let's see if we can get it. And I try and bring you guys in here to show you, but it's tight with just my fat ass in here. In a minute I will show you what I've been removing. Say if I had a film crew I'd have you in here. Unfortunately it's just little old me. Right. There is the steering column disconnected. Let me grab you. Let me show you what I've just done then. So in here, look, in the footwell, pull the carpet back, which gives you access to this. This is where the steering column connects onto the steering rack. That little nipple you can see there, that is the top of the steering rack. This just connects, bolts on with 113 milli bolt here. So we've disconnected that. That will now allow us to drop the steering rack completely off the car. So next job, let's get it on ramp now, and then we can get steering lock on, make sure steering doesn't turn, because you don't want the steering to turn, because it will turn really easy now, and you don't want to get the steering squib twisted up or out like that. So the steering squib is, you obviously got wiring behind the steering wheel, which is what your indicator stalks all connected to. You don't want to be spinning steering wheel left or right or anything like that. Once you've disconnected that rack, you want steering lock on, lock it in position, don't touch it again then until it's time to install it again. Right, let's get the ramp legs under it, let's get it up on ramp, and then there's a few little bits to do from the top. See there, look, steering lock is now on at that, so steering can't move. So I've got the key out. It's a keyless one, this, but I've got key on here, so we'll put that screw back in there. That's out of kick plate. Hopefully handbrake stayed off because it's electric handbrake. Yeah. Also, we better find locking wheel nut because we are going to need the wheels off. Let's have a look for that next. Should have found this first. Imagine if it's not in here now, I've got to put it all back together. Well, it ain't where it's supposed to be. Which is not a good start. Hopefully it's in here. Yeah. Probably advise if you're working on somebody else's car and not your own, find locker first. Oh god, this is seriously not looking good. I can't find it in car. Oh god. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if locker's not in here? Let me see if it's actually got lockers on. What's up, doggy? Oh, we're not cuddling, it's not cuddle time. No. We're working, aren't we? We're working. Watch out here then. Come on, out of the way. What on earth? It's got wheel spacers on. I don't think it's got a locker. It's got aftermarket wheel bolts. But the covers are making it a pain. Well folks, that's why we can't find locker. 'Cause it ain't got one. Aftermarket bolts. Phew. Alright, there we go then. Car is on the ramp. We've got a few little bits we need to disconnect under here now. A couple of sensors. And just whatever we can get to really, make us life a bit easier from underneath. Hopefully you can see good enough at that. Alright, engine cover off. Let's get my big light. Hopefully that's not blinding you, it is. Sorry, it's world's biggest light. It's just handy because I don't have to hold it and it doesn't fall off magnet every 30 seconds. There we go, you can see it that. Right, we need to peel this back. This is some heat shielding for DPF pressure sensors. Peel that back because we need to disconnect the pressure sensors. We need to unbolt them off of this. Now, when we put this back on, none of this is going to be going back on. Today, this is having a 3-inch downpipe, so it won't really be having any of the pressure pipes back on as such. The sensors will need to go back on, but the pipes won't be going back on. Also, we've got lambda sensor there. Lambda sensor will be going back in. Tell you what, let's just get that unbolted first, which is a T30. T30 right there. Also, we've got two pressure sensors here. I'm not sure if the plugs are different or not, so I'm going to basically put a dot on one and then 2 dots on the other. Just to save any confusion later on. I'm guessing they're probably self-explanatory and you can't get them wrong, but that 2-second thing there will just make sure, won't it? Alright, absolutely tons of these little covers and shields. We are also going to be doing the mapping side of things on this later on in the video as well. When you take this out, the ECU is going to know the DPF's missing and you're going to get limp mode pretty quickly. So we are going to need to do some mapping alterations, which we'll get to a bit later. Just need to disconnect these pressure pipes out of his way to start with because they are in the way, big style. Alright, what we got down there? we've got 2 pipes which are a pain in the ass to get to, but we've got to get them. There's a T30 there as well, which we've got to get that. Tell you what, this is probably going to take some time, so what I'll do is I'll speed this up now into a time lapse, and I'll just get all these sensors disconnected on top, get all these pipes disconnected, and yeah, it's going to get a bit more exciting soon because I'm going to get a shower of coolant, which will probably be funny for you guys, not so funny for me. When you disconnect EGR cooler on these, it just covers your in coolant.
Yep, that's a wise choice, Nathan. No one wants to sit there for the next 15 minutes watching you struggle with pipes and struggle with sensors. Now, none of this is hard work, it's just all really fiddly. There's lots of plastic stuff, you need to be careful where you lean. It takes you to lean one elbow on an injector plug, snap it, and you're in for a world of pain. So it's just time consuming to be careful, if that makes sense. But a little while later, and we've got them all off.
One sec, let's get these off. So once we're up in air, first thing we've got to do, we're going to drop this under tray off. The majority of them are T25 Torx bits. There is a couple of three T45s at back. So we'll get that off first. See what we've got underneath. How many we got? 1, 2. One's missing there, but there would have been 3. 4. There's one down middle here. Under tray's actually snapped there, so we don't even need to remove that one. That would have been 5. That would have been 6. 7. 8. You've got 8 T25s. And you've got 3 T45s here. 1, 2, 3. And then this under tray should come off because that front bit's snapped. Yeah, there's like a tab what you have to push here, look. There we go. Right. Keep all them under tray bolts together. Right, next then we're going to get this subframe off. So we're going to disconnect these drop links either side, 3/16 either side. We'll disconnect the steering rack from the hub, which looks to be 21, maybe 22. Couple at back here, 18, 16s. There's quite a few bolts to go at. So we're going to zip round all of them, and then we're going to drop all this down in one go. We are going to have to get to wiring plug for the steering rack. We're going to have to disconnect that. You can see the plug here.
but we are going to have to feed the wiring out at the top. So, right, let's get stripping. So a little bit of grief there with that drop link, a little bit of heat on it, sorted that out. Other than that, everything's come undone nicely so far. That is a common thing with drop links on Volkswagens, to be honest, so if you are doing this on your drive, be prepared for that. And if you like installing one or whatever, following this as a guide, I don't know, whatever you're doing, watching. Right, stand underneath subframe, slow it down a little bit. Here is what you're left with once subframe's that way. Now you're probably looking at it thinking, it don't look so bad. Yeah, it's not over yet, don't worry about that. Still got to get covered in coolant and all sorts yet. This is EGR cooler, what is connected to the side at DPF. Now we are going to have to unbolt that off the engine, otherwise you can't get the DPF off because it sort of goes inside. You'll see later on, there's a portion of this what goes inside the DPF, so you can't slide that off. It's just not possible. You have to unbolt the cooler and sort of bring it all down as one. It's still not a nice job at this point. Now as we are doing a downpipe, we'll be going to this clamp here, so this bit comes away, which is nice. So I don't have to go all the way down there. We'll disconnect that in a second, we'll get that out of his way. But yeah, we are going to have to make some sort of loop pipe for these EGR cooler pipes because that's coming off. And you can't really see it, maybe you can. Let me see, let me grab a light, hang on. You can just make it out there. Look, there's also a rubber pipe what goes to the intake side at turbo. We are going to have to make a blank for that as well. Again, I'm not going to kid you like I tell you I know what it does. It's something to do with EGR valve. I'm not 100% on its exact function, but we've got to blank it off, I'll tell you that. There's also another lambda sensor down there. Look, we need to unplug that wire as well. Right, we'll just keep going, keep stripping. We'll start by taking this V-band off here. We'll get this secondary section at downpipe off. Oh no, that's binding up, that's gone tight. Don't do that to me today. We're already going to be tight for time. Let's try and work that a bit with a bit of WD-40. We don't want any dramas. Oh no, I can tell you now that's not going to come undone nice. Try a bit more WD. Don't feel good, boys. It does not feel good. That's going to round that. That's going to bind up, which again is a common problem with these. No, that's not going to go. We're going to have to cut that bolt and then we'll have to try and revive it later on in video. God's sake. snap now, hopefully. Yeah, sweet. Well, yet another battle with rusty bolts. Again, common problem with VWs, them bolts always round off or rust off on top like that. Water sits on top and rust the bolts out, but doing that, you can save the clamp. It's a bit of a faff around though, but we saved it. Next, obviously we did have to chop that bolt on that, so later on in the video we are going to have to save that by heating it up, try and working that in and out. Maybe you have to drill it, tap it, I don't know. We'll have to save that later on. That's Lisa's worries. Let's get the old one off first, eh? So we're at stage now where we're ready to start disconnecting drive shaft. I've just unplugged this lambda sensor because it is crazy tight out. Tried to undo it, but seized in there solid just like all other sensors. So we're going to whip this cover off here, get this drive shaft down and out of the way, and it's time to start undoing some of these coolant hoses, getting covered in water. Not nice. Back cover, 216mm. Tell you, everything's hard work on this car. Such a new car and everything's a nightmare. Even getting shaft out are a nightmare. Whew. Right, it's time to start doing some coolant lines, I think. Go on then, here it is, the grand finale. Probably wondering why I'm not doing it. Well, mainly I'd sooner the car get covered in coolant anyway, but I've just been talking to one of his YouTube fans who's just been down.
Pull it a bit further if you can. Oh, get ready to catch some.
Come in. There it is. There is the big old crap DPF. So that's the cat, the top one there, the small one. That's the cat, that's the DPF. That is the EGR cooler. Absolute nightmare to remove. Right, now it's easy. So from this point on now it gets lovely now. Basically we've just got we're going to get rid of that big bracket there. We're going to lose that, that's going to go missing. We're going to cap this off, that's an easy job. And then the problem is we need to joint coolant pipes because the EGR cooler won't be going back on. And then it is literally just simply build a downpipe. So yeah, it gets a lot easier from here on now. The hard bit's done. And if you ever wonder what it's like to do turbo on one of these, well, here's another car what I've got in. Same engine, A5. So engine sits sideways in this one, not backwards. This is the absolute nightmare what you have to go through to do a turbo on one. So this just had a new turbo unit fitted. But it is easier to drop the engine than it is to just try and do it in the car. What a battle. Horrible engines, these. Horrible things to work on. Anyway, just look at it. Just look at that. Imagine doing anything on it. It's just awful things. So yes, engine we're going back in that one in the next 5 minutes. And then once we've put that engine back in there, or at least once we've got it sat back on the mount, ready for Carl to finish putting it all together this afternoon, me and Connor, we're going to tackle this downpipe. So there we go, we're about ready to start putting the car back together and start assembling what we actually came to do, the downpipe. So next time you all moan about how much it costs to do one of these downpipes, just appreciate the amount of work what's going into this. This is at least 3 hours to get to this point, and we've still got to put the car back together yet. We haven't even so much as laid a tack really on new exhaust. But come in closer here, let me show you some of these components, what we need to make. So this is the original EGR cooler. Now that used to be on there like that, and that one used to be on the other side here. This is what we're going to chop off, because this is what we're going to use to do the coolant line blank. Now I've done this many a time before, so I know it works. So cut that off of there, cut that off the other one. We're simply going to TIG weld that together. That works near on perfect for the coolant line blank. Now that bit there with the flap in it, that also used to connect to the inlet side of the turbo. We need to cap that, we need to blank it. So that's what that is. We've just made that, literally a piece of tube, rolled the end on the roller, cap the edge off. That's then going to go into the silicon, into the rubber what's already there. That will then cap that off, job done. Now this component, we actually need 2 of these. Now I've made this one just to make sure I can make it. I know I can, because I've done a million before. But it's ever so slightly different on this part, but I've made that one. Now I'm going to show you how we make the other one. So you can see there's 2 of them. Come around here, look, Connor. You see, we've got one here, look, this is the turbo outlet. That one clamps up to your turbo. This one clamps up to the secondary part of the downpipe, which is this part here. Now you can probably see what that's for. That's that. Now I see a lot of people making these and they don't put the internal locator in. If you do that, you're a cowboy, simple as, because they don't line up properly, they don't locate right. Now that will line up as good as the original one. See, it just goes in, boom, snaps into place. It cannot be misaligned. When you put the clamp on, absolutely perfect. As I said, that one is slightly different to the turbo one. That one, the hole in this, so that is slightly bigger. So let's make the other one for the turbo. And then once we've done that, once we've welded that coolant line together, once we've made the other one of them, we're about ready to literally start putting the car back together. We can put all the subframe back on, everything can go back together complete, and then we can start building our downpipe. Right, let's show you how I make one of these. I think I've showed you before on channel, but we'll see. Right, it starts life as a piece of 2.5-inch tube essentially. And then come around here, look, show them what this is, look. This is a cone on our swage machine, so this is a hydraulic pull-push ram. It can pull for expanding, it can also shove for doing this. That's what it does. I'm going to put that in there, line it up, and that's going to give you a cone. Now I'm not sure if that's bang perfect, that was just a quick go. Let's have a look. So they're both the same in terms of the cone is the same, it's just the internal bit's bigger. That one's a fraction more, and I mean a fraction. Doers. Yeah, perfect. Right, now I've got my vernier calipers set up somewhere to the here, look, to the right size of the inlet. So that one's slightly bigger, as I said. This one here is the turbo one. Now I've got my vernier calipers set to the exact right size what the mill bit needs to be. So we're going to get some tube, which is 2-inch. I'm just going to cut that length of tube off there, and then once that's cut off, I'll show you how we're going to make the locator. Right, so we've got the size here, what we need to expand to. As you can see, we are quite a bit too small at the moment, and then once we've got the end the right size, what's going to locate in the turbo, we need to get the other end, so it's a tight fit in there. Let's do that now. I'll back this rate off. And straight away I've gone a little bit too much, so that's my own stupid fault. So we'll make sure we don't make that mistake on the other side. So that helps, so that's max at that, so... Ooh, we're very close at that, so I don't want much. Perfect. Right, I'm just going to try that in turbo. Give me 1 sec. you can see, that lines up perfect in turbo. So that end lines up perfect in turbo. Now we need to make the other end a tight fit in this. You can see there, look, I'm going to leave the end bit same size as what we wanted, because that bit goes inside the turbo. This is just this bit what needs to locate in here. Ooh, absolutely beautiful, boys. There we go. That's how we make the locator. That bit will now locate on the turbo. We're gonna obviously don't want to be that long. We're gonna trim that right down like that, so it's nice and small. Give that a clean up, get it pulsed around edge. That'll be absolutely perfect. That'll locate mint on turbo. Here we are then, here's all those components. That's the bottom one, that's the one on the turbo. There's his coolant, I don't know what you'd call that, bypass coolant hose, God knows. And there's EGR blank. Last thing we need to do, we're going to save that clamp. Have you saved it already, or is that the other one? Oh no. Yeah, there's another one of these that's knackered. We need to save that. And that's it, we're going to start putting this car back together. So I'm not going to bore you to tears with that. A lot of it's going to be in reverse of what you saw earlier, subframe back up, all that jazz. So we're going to get all that back up and then we're going to check back in with you and we're going to get this downpipe made, which is essentially what we came to do. Just a lot of work to get to it. Here's the other one now. We don't need anything off this now. I've already took all the sensors out. The only thing I need for that now is thumbnail. Cheese. Chuck that on floor. Just a quick show before I start putting everything back together. There is the coolant line blank. There, look, fitted, installed. And there, up there, look, is the blank, what goes into the intake side of the turbo. Happy days. Right, everything now is deleted, everything's capped off, back on where it should be. Get a drive shaft back in, get a subframe back up, and let's build this downpipe. With that then, the car is all back together, subframe's back on, everything's all back in positions. We've obviously just got a great big gaping hole up there where the DPF and the cat used to be. You'll see there is the new flange what we made earlier, connected to intermediate part downpipe, that bit. Now, I've just been having a mock-up down here on the floor. Here is the original one. That's a tight radius 90-degree bend. Now, other one is on here. Now, we know that that's going to have to go straight on there, so Connor's just tacking the first flange that comes off the turbo to one 90-degree bend. What that's going to do is that's going to get us to there, like that. Then there's going to be another one what's going to go like that, connect to the one that Connor's got on the bench. Then there's going to be one last bit here what swoops round and connects to that. So building this is going to be a doddle, just the work getting to it. Then obviously we've got to put all the sensors back in. There's one sensor there, another two on top. So there's quite a few sensors to go back in, but we'll mark them up once we've got it mocked together. See how we get on in a sec. Oh, let Connor tack that up and then we'll start offering it up. Yeah. Right, so I haven't showed you much of this because it's difficult for me and Connor to see, let alone bringing you guys in for you to see as well. But let me just line up what we've actually got. Right, that one's got 3 marks on it anyway. Connor, fourth one didn't get it, so we're good. Essentially, that's it. That's your DPF delete pipe, that tiny little thing there. That's all there is to it. All that work is mainly getting to it. It's tight up there now. It's difficult for me to get in. I'm at bottom and Connor's at top. So like I say, you'll not be able to see it much other than me and Connor stood up like either side. So let's get this tacked together and let's see if it fits. If this fits, it'll just be a case of putting some sensors in it and we're ready to play. Oh, that's not that one. Right. Marks don't really correlate. 3 of them line up. I think that's about there, to be honest. We're doing it.
This will be a good one for slow car on the board.
Yeah, should go well this. Might even get Polo GTI run for its money. See, won't we? Only 3 of them got it. I'm guessing it's them 3 there. Yep. Oof, that was toasty on fingers. There's no to it, is there? It's the tiniest little thing in the world. Pain in the arse to make, but the tiniest thing in the world. Let's just jig this up and start selling them. Let everyone else have pain and fit in it. Yeah. There it is. That is what a DPF delete pipes looks like. Obviously there's going to be some sensors to put on there, but providing that fits, which we'll find out now, that'll drop straight in from the top. So I can't, like I say, I can't really show you because I can barely see myself. So you're not going to be able to see a great deal. But I'll tell you if it fits. I'd say probably get yours started first and then we'll know if mine fits. Don't think your clamp's on at that, it's not.
Is it not?
No, it's not on at the bottom. Oh God, I hope it were on when we've mocked it up.
Yeah, well, because I tightened it. I didn't think that one, and that one on right anyway.
Right, so we need to mark where we want sensors. What have we got down there? Left corner, there's a lambda sensor, isn't there, and 2 pressure pipes, is there? Yeah, there isn't there, 2 pressure pipes. Sorry, 2 temp sensors, not pressure pipes. So we'll put lambda there, temp sensor there, and then there's another temp sensor at back there. And that's it, isn't it? That's all there is. Should we put a tag up here? We'll put a tag down there as well. That's it, whip that off, get them drilled out, get them bosses in, get it together. Woo. So it's hard to believe that literally a full day of graft has produced that. That's all it's produced, that tiny little part there. But this just goes to show that's how much work actually goes in to doing a DPF delete downpipe on one of these cars, which is why most exhaust shops won't even touch them. Most exhaust shops, you'll ring them and they'll say, nah, we're not bothered. I speak to a couple of lads, I know quite a few exhaust shops, and yeah, a lot of them will be like, nah, sod that, we're not interested, too much work. So that's why this video hopefully has given you some insight as to why it's quite major surgery to do it. So the last thing to do is let's get this on the car, and then we need to do some mapping changes, don't we? We need to tell it that it's no longer there. Just bear in mind also, this is for track use only. This is not a road legal car anymore. It's not my car, owner's decision. Whatever they do when they leave here is their responsibility, not mine. That's all I'll say on the matter. And here it is then, what you can see of it. Look, you can just see the shiny downpipe up there. It's about the best I can show it you. It's buried. We're gonna run it up now, make sure we've got no coolant leaks, and we're gonna get under tray back on, get it down, do some mapping. Oh, we also need to track it up as well, so we've had subframe off, so we will be doing alignment on it as well. All that's back together then. DPF pressure pipes are missing, but the sensors are back on, and that's all you can see from top. Just a little bit of the downpipe, you can't really see much else. Then I've just spotted something on camera. Look, that wire needs to be clipped in there. Wrong way, Nathan. Try spinning it round. Not easy with one hand. We got there. Right, that's clipped in there. Yep, that's all done. I need to connect steering rack back up. Also, just for reference, that other car I showed you earlier with engine out is now sat there on ramp running up. So that just gives you an idea of how long this actually takes to do this job. That engine's back in the same time that this we've made DPF delete downpipe for this. One thing I need to do now then, put that rack back on, and then we'll have a little run, see if it sounds any different. Let's have a little listen then, see if it sounds any different. We are ready to run it now. It might be in limp mode at the moment though, because that EGR flap thing is unplugged, so glow plug light will be flashing at the moment, so it is definitely, or most likely going to be in limp mode almost instantly, which may have an effect on sound. It might make it sound quite deep, but still got original exhaust on, although it has only got one silencer in it, but when you tap on it, it's just like ting, ting, ting. There's not a great deal in it, so let's have a listen, see what she sounds like, if anything. A little bit of noise, isn't there? There's a little bit of noise. So we've got stability error and we've got steering light on. That's normal when you disconnect steering rack, when you've had battery on. Literally drive it outside, lock it left, lock it right, hold it. Sometimes you have to go a little drive, that'll clear off itself. But we will be doing alignment anyway. Bit of noise, isn't there? Already? Smoky? Go and rev it, let me have a look. She's bone stock, she wouldn't be unless it's got a tune on it. I wouldn't say right bad, there's a dust. There's a dusting. So there you go. That's what it'll sound like with a standard exhaust with a downpipe. I do believe in future this guy will be having exhaust done. We did his old car, so I'm probably guessing he will end up having this one done. Next stop then, we'll get rid of them steering lights. I'll do all lock to locks and that, get rid of that. Let's get it on an alignment machine. We are going to put a bit of coolant in it as well. Just make sure there's no leaks. Get alignment sorted, and then we'll get tuning side of things sorted on it, and then we'll go for a drive. Might even run it on draggy list. This one will be 150 horsepower standard. I think they map to about 185-ish, something like that. So it will be a good contender for draggy leaderboard. We shall see very shortly. Right, let's go and see what this Passat can do, or what it sounds like. Connor can't come with me because he's busy, sadly, so I'm a lone soldier this afternoon in this. Again, apologies for low light. I can't control the weather. And these late nights,
quarter mile,
well,
30.
These dark nights are depressing, aren't they, to say the least, especially when you're working it. But anyway, let's go and have a listen to this exhaust, see if it sounds any different. Tuning's all done, alignment's done. This should be around 195 horsepower now, maybe a touch more. It might look like it, but we're not. No vehicles was driven illegally on public roads in this video. If traffic's kind. Yeah, so in terms of normal driving of the exhaust, I can't even tell it's being messed with, to be fair to you. It's just sounds like my Tiguan. I own a Tiguan R-Line, which is the same engine as this. This is a Passat R-Line. Yeah, it doesn't sound any different to my own car, so it's not really made a great difference to the exhaust tone with the standard exhaust catback. I do believe that will change in future. I think this guy might do the rest of the exhaust, but who knows. Also, just an apologies if audio's not as good as usual. In the last video we had a bit of a microphone issue. I've realised why. I thought the battery died in my wireless receiver. That wasn't the case. It looks like we've caught the cable and damaged the cable, so I do need to order a new one. So at the moment we are just running off GoPro microphone. Hopefully it sounds alright for you. We'll see when we get back to base and I listen to the video, But more importantly, so this is still going to be in the slow car category for the draggy leaderboard. Let's see what it can do on a 0 to 60 time, shall we? Let's see if we can. Really, it's the similar sort of power as the Polo GTI, what's currently leading. So technically it should produce a similar time, but who knows? We've got traction control. Can we turn traction off? Don't know how you turn traction off. So we're going to have it in sport. Get it in sport mode. Let's see what she's got. A lot of wheel spin. Still a lot of wheel spin. Oof, that weren't very fast. That were quite slow. I feel like I owe it another go though. That start was not the best. I need to turn traction control off as well. You'd think I'd know how to because I've got the same car. I'm sure mine's got a button here, this one hasn't got it. Maybe it's in the drive menu here.
doing to figure out how to turn traction control off, because that was limiting me and it didn't put out the best time. Not happy with that time. Didn't do it justice. Let's figure out how to get traction control off. So let's go into settings. ESC system, there we go. There we go. Traction control off. Right, let's go back round. Let's give that another try. Tell you what though, this car is no slouch. It is, it gets down pretty good. The only thing is limiting it is, unfortunately, it is very difficult to get the power down, especially in the on the tarmac conditions at the moment. It's very greasy, it's quite damp. This has got a lot of low down power, so yeah, it does tend to want to wheel spin a lot. I don't know what tyres are on there, probably ditch finders. That is the limiting factor in this car, but tuning this has made a hell of a difference. Totally transformed the car. Let's just say the owner's going to probably be a very happy man. Sick of these wet roads, I'll be honest with you. Sick of them. It's about time we had some nice light nights and some nice dry roads to play with, eh? Right, let's get round here and let's try that again. I've put this mirror light on, I don't know if it's helping. Maybe it's helping, maybe it's not. It does look really dark. Right, let's see what we can do. Traction off. Let's try and limit wheel spin. Let's do it. No, he just wants to wheel spin like crazy. Nah, come on. I think that's going to be about best we can get, folks. Did we do a better time than the Polo GTI? We'll have to get back to base and find out, won't we? Now, it is very slippy. Tarmac is very slippy. It is wet, so it is going against the Passat. But let's get back to base and let's see what time it laid down. So how do we think we did then? Did we beat the Polo GTI with a 7.46 seconds? It was wet also on the day we did that. What do we think? Do we think it beat him? It beat that one. It beat that one. But did it beat the GTI? Ooh. No, did it heck? Sorry. Sadly not. The fastest time I could get from the Passat was 9.70 seconds, which is quite a big difference from the Polo GTI considering they are around the same power. The only thing is with the Passat, very low down torque, a lot of wheel spin, it's hard to drive it and get the power down, whereas the GTI's got a lot longer gear ratios, revs a lot more. Just shows you the actual difference between two cars, petrol and diesel. The petrol is actually much faster on a 0 to 60. There it is, boys. That is the best time I could get. I'm not happy with that. I feel like the Passat would have a lot better of a chance on dry tarmac. Sadly though, on the day, we don't have dry tarmac available, and the Polo did it on a wet day anyway, so it is what it is. That was the best time I could get, folks. Thank you for watching this video. We're going to catch you in the next one. See you later.